And we are live. Welcome back to the Rome Show. Appreciate you for
Thanks
coming
for
back on the
having
Rome
me.
Show.
I think my camera's crooked. There we go.
So how's the news life been?
Good, good. One of my lights just went out. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I was wondering. I had this huge shadow. It's good. It's good. The news game is moving along. It's been a really busy time, as you can imagine. But I love it. It energizes me. How about you?
It's going. It's been going good. Staying busy. Always something
I'm
to do.
seeing you all over. Like you're here, you're there, you're talking to this person, that person, all over the place. You've been busy.
Yeah, trying to stay ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think you're
Um,
doing it.
Thank you. So you're on a new radio show, or is that the one you was on before?
So, I've done radio before, but I'm on 1010 Wins, which is the most listened to radio station in the country. And we're based in Manhattan. It's like an institution. We are 24/7 all news and cranking it out. So sometimes I'm going to work. I'll go in at 9 p.m. and anchor from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m., or I'll be reporting out in the field and just all over the place. I love it. I love it. And it's such an honor to work with the people I work with. They are the cream of the crop. I don't know what they were thinking hiring me, but everybody needs, that one person who's, the token, whatever. That's
Yeah.
me.
So what's one thing that you haven't done yet with your brain and what you do that you want to
Mm,
do?
what do I want to do? Oh, well, I want to do more traveling. I've traveled quite a bit and I want to do more traveling. You know,
Vacation wise or work wise?
no, work wise. I would really like to go to the Middle East and work there for a little bit. I've worked, obviously, I've covered stuff, in other countries. I've covered things nationally in the U.S., but I've never worked in the Middle East, and I think it would be really interesting. Obviously, challenging, but I like new challenges, and I like getting to know the lay of the land and the vibe, and kind of, you know, work that way. So that's what I really like to do.
Right.
I don't know.
Stay
Maybe
busy.
I've watched too much of the Lioness or something.
You're always on the go.
hmm hmm Well, I
Do you
I
feel?
try to have a balance.
Yeah. Do you feel like
But
you're balancing or no?
right now I am. Right now I am. That wasn't always the case. So because I have a family, I have kids. So it's like, that goal of covering the Middle East, it can't happen anytime soon because I've got to worry about, you know, being a mom and
Right.
being available. So what's great with Wins is they take that into consideration with scheduling, and it's terrific.
Right. So how do you balance now?
Mm. Well, I'll put it to you this way. If I didn't have a family, I'd be in the Middle East right now. I would be rocking and rolling, doing my stuff. You know what I'm saying? I hold myself back because you have to look at the priorities, the hierarchy of needs, so to speak. Right now, my kids, my husband, my family need me more than I need to be off gallivanting around the world. So what I do is I work, I live very near Manhattan. So I work in the city. This New York is the largest city in the United States. Like it's the number one television, radio, everything market. Um, you know, that's where it's happening. And so that's my balance. So I work in New York and I'm available for my kids. If I have to work weekends and holidays, I negotiate that. And I'm sorry if you can hear my dog upstairs. My dog's like, don't forget about me.
Right.
So yeah, that's what we do.
It's a lot. Stay busy. So you do good balance in between, like, personal life, your kids, and then work, because you're a workaholic.
Am I?
Yeah,
I am.
yeah.
I love what I do though. I feel like it's like, trust me, I have tried to do other things. I took a break from news, went into pharmaceutical sales. That was a lot of fun, a lot of fancy dinners. It was, was nice. Uh, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. And it was like, ugh. I was a stay-at-home mom for a couple years. And my God, that was fantastic. Like the time I spent with my son, it was, oh my gosh, a dream come true. But I was ready to go back to work. And when I went back to work, I was like, no, I've got to go back to news. Otherwise, I'm going to go crazy. So
Right.
that's what I did. It's just in it, like it's part of my personality. Like I love consuming news. It's whether it's like politics, uh, you know, the latest, going on in, around the world, whether it's weather related, anything like that. You come into my house, the TV's on and it's on to like a 24/7 cable news network.
So one day you're gonna be like the news, the news queen.
Wait a sec. I'm already a queen. What are you talking about? One day I'm the queen. No, I don't know. I don't know that I'll be, the queen of news. Maybe I might be doing something else. Who knows? I don't know. But it's kind of in my DNA, so I think I will be doing something in some capacity. I like
Right.
producing too. I'm a good producer. So, I was producing coverage in Ukraine, at the war in Ukraine when it started. I was actually doing that remotely because the network I was with was having trouble getting people into Ukraine because it was just really dangerous. But we did. And usually when you go to a conflict zone, you're embedded there for about 2 months. So that's all, it's hard to be away from your family for 2 months. And in those conditions, it's tough because you're working like 18-hour days. So, and then if something major happens, you're up, you're awake. So we'll see.
Right. What's like the earliest time that you had to get up and go cover a story?
Oh, it depends on what you consider early. I mean, I've gone to work at 11 p.m. to work an overnight. I mean, I've worked every shift. So, sometimes the alarm would go off at 2 a.m. to get me to work. Sometimes I would take a nap usually now, even still, if I have to go in at 9 p.m., I nap. And then I will get up, 9 p.m. or, 8 o'clock, or actually earlier than that if I have to be in the city by 8, 9. And then I'll work until 5 a.m. And,
Wow.
yeah.
Then
So, I mean, I've
the
done
next
everything.
day?
I've worked 2 to 10 p.m. I've worked, 11 to 7. I've worked around the clock.
Wow, that's like a whole day shift.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's why, like you have to, I'm lucky because I've been doing this. I don't want to tell you how long I'm doing that. Then you might know how old I am. But I've been doing this long enough to where, I can say, listen, I have the confidence, not that I have the skill set or I'm that great, but I have the confidence to say, listen, these are the times I need to be available for my family. And those are, like sealed, and I don't answer my phone. When I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids. I'm a room mother for my daughter's 5th grade class. We have birthday parties here at the house for the kids, like, like normal mom stuff. But when I'm on the clock, like when I'm working, I'm encapsulated there. And, obviously my kids, my husband can get a hold of me if they need to, but they know not to do it unless, something's on fire.
Right.
Yeah. Like go to dad. Mom's not here.
How much time would you say you get a day to yourself?
Oh, I don't think
None, huh?
No, 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 because I mean, in my younger days, or not in my younger days, but at different times of my life, yeah, sure, I had personal time. But I think once you have a family, you don't have personal time, even if you're home alone. But I do get to, I'm home alone for, hours at a time if the kids are in school, depending on my work schedule changes. So, but even when I'm home alone on my own time, I'm editing video. If I'm working on a project, like right now, I'm working on a mini doc about, yeah, it's a true crime story. So, I work on the editing or reaching out to different contacts, setting up different interviews, just like stuff you do. I'm doing what you're doing.
Lots of work.
Right. And you like it, right? Like if you didn't like it, you wouldn't be doing it. And it's
It's,
when you're
it's like addicting.
creative. What's that?
It's like addicting for some reason.
Uh-huh. It's absolutely addicting. Oh my God. Yeah. Like well, last night I was editing and it was 11 o'clock and I'm like, ugh, I've got to go to bed. I gotta, the kids have to go to school in the morning. It's not a Friday night. I've got to go to bed. And I was like, oh, I'm right in the middle of something, but you have to stop because it is addicting. You're right. How do you stop?
I kind of got to force myself. Like I be catching myself pacing back and forth, figuring out, looking. I'll have like 10 videos ready to be uploaded, and I'm like
Mhm.
pacing back and forth. It'll be like 1 in the morning. I'm like, should I upload one, upload two?
Right. It's like you just want to be like, oh, here it is, here it is.
Yeah.
You know? Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I force myself to take breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long does it take you to edit a piece?
It could take an hour. From an hour, it could take 4 hours. I'll take a break, go back to it the next day. How about you?
Mhm. Oh, I'm slow. I can edit audio pretty quickly. Like on the fly, I can do that. But when it comes to something with video, I'm so like exact. You know, I'm like I'm like my mom in that respect. Like she wants everything to be perfect, and I do too. And it's like perfection, as they say, perfection is the enemy of progress.
Right.
So, but it's like, oh, I don't want to upload it. And then it's like, oh, look, I just found that mistake. Or, oh, why did I do it that way? So it's hard for me. It's good to hear how you just have to force yourself.
Yeah. Sometimes
Like
I
I'm
be
not
like, all right.
alone.
Yeah.
I'm not the only crazy one.
Right. And then like I did 6 interviews today, and I'm gonna try to edit and upload at least 3 or 4 tonight.
You did 6 today.
Yeah.
That's a lot. You did a
Right.
lot today. So now like, how long will that sustain you, so to speak? Like, how much content is that for you? Is that like 6 different episodes? And how often do you upload an episode?
Let me see. So 6 interviews. Um, I could do promotion, editing, probably like a week or two, and then I'll be ready for some more.
You're like a machine.
So it'll be like 3 posts a day. I try to do.
Wow. You're more active than I am.
You think
You're
so?
more. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I post, but not like, big things like an episode. I'm not posting an episode. But like for instance, this true crime piece I'm working on right now, I've had a lot of stops and starts with it just because of logistics and trying to schedule interviews and stuff like that. But I've been working on it since the end of September. But it's one of those things like, so this girl unfortunately was abducted from South Jersey and she was 5 years old, blah, 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 blah. So trying to get in touch with the lead prosecutors, the lead investigators. So when you like, I went to this vigil and they were all there and they're like, yeah, 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 we'll do an interview. We'll do an interview, right? Here, let's set it up, da, 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 da. And I'm trying to nail them down to a time because they're in front of you. And it's like, okay, well, when's good for you? Just in case they dodge me later. nobody, I couldn't nail down anyone, and they've all dodged everything. So I've had to like problem solve and stuff like that. So
Yeah, that happens.
yeah. And so it's like, but this is, and it's because it's a missing child. I'm being really careful with it. Not that I'm not careful with everything, but this in particular, you know?
Yeah, those news stories take a while, a little bit longer.
Yeah. Yeah. But it'll be good. It'll be good. Like I've been able to get the 911 tapes. I'm working with the Centers for Missing and Exploited Children. You know, there's a lot of really good content. So I'm hoping to finish it in the next 2 weeks.
All right. So you got a
Just
couple of
in
projects
time for
coming out.
Christmas.
Right there. So you got a couple of projects coming out.
Mhm.
Nice. The first one you told me about, and what's the other two?
Um, oh my gosh. So I'm working on, I'm waiting for a weather. It's so where are you based?
Connecticut.
Okay, so we have the same weather. It's been crazy warm,
Right, it
right?
has been. Yeah.
And like super dry. So I've been waiting for some severe weather because I want to go and work on, I think we're in an El Nino, or no, we're in La Nina this year, I think. And so it's like a kind of a weather pattern, and it ends up being a mild winter, but it can lead to other problems. So I'm waiting for some severe weather to kick up on that. So, once that happens, I'll be doing that. Although you could argue that this drought is severe weather. It is.
Yeah.
Um, and oh my gosh, you're asking me, and it's like just flew out of my head. Oh, I spent some time at the US border with Mexico in McAllen, Texas, a couple years ago. And I want to go back. And I'm really interested to go back for a few weeks before the inauguration and after the inauguration. I want to see the difference. So I'm working on fleshing that out with a former colleague of mine who's now based out of Chicago. So he's a professional freelancer for news and does everything. He has a TikTok channel with more than 2 million followers. And yeah, so he's a really good guy. We met years ago, and he's just like, he's a solid person, and he's really talented with the way he shoots things, and he's a really good field producer too. So anyway, I'm working on, fleshing that out with him. And then of course it all comes down to, once that's fleshed out, then I have to figure out the schedule for my family. So that's what's
Nice.
happening. Yeah.
Nice. Got some new news projects on the way. Monica, Guy, appreciate you for coming back on the podcast.
Oh my God. When I got your message, like, do you want to be on I'm like, absolutely. That sounds great.
We
I had a
definitely
good
really
time last
appreciate
night.
it.
Yeah. So how are things moving along with your podcast or your show? Yeah.
They're doing pretty good. Numbers are growing. Meeting more people,
Great.
getting more professional.
Yeah. Well, so I'm interested. So you've been doing this a while, because what was I on, like a year or two ago?
Yeah.
So it was a while. In that, and you don't have to say names. Tell me your most uncomfortable interview and what made it uncomfortable. Like, did you have anybody who was just like one word answers and it was like really awkward and you were like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, tell me.
Let me think. She was an actor or something like that, and I was asking her something about like the acting process, and then her response was like, "Hmm." Yeah.
She didn't give
So I
you
kind
any.
of nah. She was just like, "Hmm." So yeah.
That's tough. That's
Yeah.
tough. So what did you learn from that experience?
to point out like who I interview if they're really actually interested in the interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause
Absolutely.
some people will do it, but they really don't want to do it.
Who would not want to be with Go Roam TV? What's the
Right.
matter with people? You send them my way, I'll go Jersey on them.
Got him.
So, but this is great being with you and on the show. You know, it's a good time.
Yeah. Positive vibes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You've got to. You know, you do this long enough, it can wear you down. And you meet all kinds of people.
Oh
And
yeah.
I don't know about you. What is your like? I know I have my opinions. What do you think of like how people are in the business?
There's a lot of nice, cool people, but then you got those, those people that they don't really talk to nobody like that.
Yeah, that's what I
But
think
there's
too.
there's some real nice people though.
Yeah, I found that the majority of people, they know what it's like. Because this, I mean, look, management can always, you get a job or you don't get a job because they need a blonde or a brunette. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, it's my hair color. Great. And you could take that personally. Or they think you look too young, too old, too this, too that. And it's like, okay. And if you let that get to you, like the constant no, 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 it wears you down. And I think that people, like, we all know that of management and whatnot. And it's like, okay, we've all been there. So we kind of have to like just be like nice, just nice, right? But then, yeah, you get people who are like,
Yeah.
and they're jerks or they think an awful lot of themselves.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. And I think, I was talking to someone about a week or two ago. I was on his podcast and he said, that you have to have a little bit of arrogance to do what we do. And
Oh yeah.
he and I were having this discussion, like, is it arrogance or is it confidence?
Hmm.
Or is it like it's just that desire, that passion is in you to do it and you're not satisfied doing anything else?
Could be a little bit of both.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't, arrogance, saying it's arrogance, it has such a negative connotation, but I guess it is,
Yeah.
like he and I were talking, like a surgeon has to have a certain amount of arrogance to cut open a person, right? Like you've got to really think you are the best person to do this
Oh
because
yeah.
you know what I mean? And it's that kind of thing. Like you've got to have a little something like that if you're going to go on TV, go on a podcast, go on the radio, go YouTube, whatever, and think that people actually want to hear what you have to say.
Got to be extra, extra confident.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you get your confidence? Because you're doing this. You've been plugging away at this for a long time.
Now I just, like that, back to what that guy was saying, the arrogance. I guess I mixed the arrogance with the confidence. Got to tell
Mm,
yourself you're one of the best.
yeah. I mean, like you have swag now and all kinds of stuff, great branding. That's commitment.
Yeah. I'm,
And
I'm
it's
not
like,
stopping. I'm gonna keep doing it.
well, and it shows that you're serious. It's not like, oh, I just want to do this so I get followers and likes and whatever. It's like, no, that this is it. This is your business.
Yeah. So from your point of view, you can see I'm serious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Why?
Because like when you're independent and you're trying to get to that place, sometimes you wonder if like people take you serious, like he's gonna be something one day.
You already are something.
Okay.
So there's no one, like, seriously, there's no one day. You already are something. Um, and there is a tremendous amount to be said for what you're doing and what you're creating. And the tenacity, the perseverance, the creativity, the okay, how am I going to figure this out? How am I? Because here's the thing. Yeah, we all have our phones. Yeah, we all have computers and stuff like that. But the first thing when you're going to, start any kind of podcast or any endeavor, you have to get equipment, right? So you've got your mic, you've got your stuff. Um, that building up and learning exactly from the ground up, and I don't know how else to explain it. It sounds kind of cliche, like, oh, I built this from the ground up, but you really do, and you know every aspect of it. Like, I started freelancing back in 2015, 2016. I didn't know how to edit. I didn't have any gear. I didn't have anything, but I had opportunities come through my former colleague who's in Chicago. And to your point, how people are nice. I was talking to him and I'm like, I don't have anything. He said, I have an old camera you can have. I have some mics. I have a light. We'll figure it out. Meet me in the city. So he was living in New York at the time. So we rendezvoused. He showed me, he taught me how to use this camera and all of this stuff. And prior to that, you could have told me how to, shoot or edit. And so I shot my own stuff and I learned through trial and error how to shoot. And then I had to teach myself how to edit. And so it would take me a week to edit a 2-minute package. I'm not kidding, because I would do it and then all of a sudden it would disappear. I would accidentally delete it all. So I learned so much about workflow, making sure I'm using my time effectively, how to communicate with people and be able to, talk to someone and get what I need from them, in terms of an interview or whatever, instead of thinking I got what I needed and then trying to edit and being like, oh, I should have asked them this. Oh, I forgot to ask them that. Like, you learn a lot about preparation. And I think that especially the industry is evolving so quickly that you like what you're doing is the future of broadcasting. And we see that changing already. Like my friend, he's on TikTok. He makes his money from TikTok. He's not he works for himself. And, on election night, he had more than 3 million people watching his coverage. Yep. Yep. So things are changing. And I think there's a generational aspect to that. The younger news consumer wants things on the go. They want it on their phone. They want to be able to stream it, whatever. They want it at their convenience. So what you are doing, you are learning so much just how to operate your business. And I think those skills that you learn in your growth process, they transfer all over the place. You become your own crisis management team, you become your own production team, your own producing team, your own talent team. You become everything. So you could be dropped into any situation at any traditional TV network or radio station, and you would know how to do the job because you've done all the jobs. There might be some nuance to where you are, in terms of, oh, I'm at a radio station, so I've got to learn their software, but you'll pick it up like that.
Quick.
And you've been around long enough to where if you were just a guy who was like, oh, I have this hobby and I'm going to be a podcaster, that would have faded. You've been
Yeah.
around long enough, like your longevity shows that you're serious about it. And I think, 10 years ago, there may have been like, oh, please, he's digital, whatever. But now people know better. I mean, and that's why you see ABC News has podcasts,
Oh yeah.
Odyssey podcasts. Like every network has podcasts because they've realized this is how people consume the information.
Like
So
you said, the future of broadcasting.
absolutely. Absolutely. And you can use an iPhone and go anywhere. And if you have to talk to people, they're more comfortable being videoed and recorded with an iPhone because everybody has an iPhone instead of a big camera or and like gear, you know, a photog with you. So you can connect with people better because they're more at ease. We all have phones. And the quality, the production quality is pretty good.
It's getting better too.
Oh, God, yeah. I know. I know. So, what do you, how do you think you're doing?
I think I'm doing pretty good. Sometimes I'm kind of hard on myself, but I
Mhm.
gotta realize I'm doing it alone.
You are doing it alone. Sorry, I have lights here and they're not cooperating with me. You are doing alone, but that's the best way. It's the best way, the way you're doing it, I think. Um, you're, you're learning so much and you know what else it does? When you become a boss, because you're going to have to hire people at some point, it makes you a really good boss, a really good leader of your people. And because you know what they're up against.
Right.
So that's awesome. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. How did you know this was what you wanted to do?
As I got older, like after high school, you start working and then like people start doing things you're like you don't want to do. People start getting in trouble. And
Mm.
then you want to find something that trouble really is not involved in it. And my cousin's a DJ and he went to the school, so I asked him about it.
Mm.
And then like I started like I love working the boards, I love talking, like writing out shows, producing side. And ever since I went, that was it.
Really?
Yeah.
You knew.
Any day off I had, I would go to the school by myself, sit down, record an episode by myself, talk to like the teachers, because all the teachers are in the industry already, like radio
Mm.
and TV.
Right.
Yeah. I was trying to soak up as much as I could.
Smart. Smart. That's how you know when it's like my mom. I remember when I got my first job, and because I was a communications major, and where I went to school, they didn't have a TV station. So I had to learn a lot on my own. And my mom would ask me when I got my first job and stuff like that. She would say, "Do you like your job?" And the only way I could explain it was I didn't mind going to work. Like I know it's a job, right? And people are like, "Oh, I got to go to work," but I didn't mind going to work because I
Right.
like you know what I mean. So it sounds like that's the way what you're describing too. Like you like to be there, you like to learn.
Yeah, I love being in that environment.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, what is your ultimate goal?
Ultimate goal is to do this 100% full time.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
like my goal. And I can like, live good, take a vacation here and there. Um, you know, be a popular host. Um, yeah.
That's cool. So, what is your favorite like type of subject to talk about for your show?
I like motivational stories, like how somebody overcame something that they were struggling with to get to the success.
Mm.
I don't like the drama or the drama stories.
No.
Nah.
So, what have you had to overcome?
um,
If I can
like
ask, I'm sorry. This is your show. I'm asking you these questions. I don't mean to, put you on the spot.
Like a
I just think
personal
it's,
thing or in general?
well, what have you had to overcome to, to kind of go out on your own with Go Roam TV? That had
Oh,
to be
that's a good
scary.
one.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I had to overcome being alone a lot, um, and doing things on my own a lot.
what do you mean?
Like, you know how like a lot of people, if they have like somebody they know or like a cousin or is already established in a certain industry, you're trying to get in it.
It helps.
Um, it can help, or like, cause I realized that some people don't care who that person is. Like they'll be like, so it
Mm,
won't really do anything. I always told myself I have to overcome of making something out of myself by myself.
that's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. And did you ever, you know, listen, like the inner critic did you ever have doubts and things like that?
Yeah, lots of them. Especially when I first started the first few years, I had a lot of doubts.
Yeah. Like what? Because I think there's so much value in how you got here. We've been acquainted with each other for a while now, a couple of years. And I think there's a lot for people to learn in terms of how you got here. You said you did 6 shows today?
Yeah.
Okay, just building up that, like, okay, I got 6 shows to do. Nobody starts out with 6 shows, you know?
Yeah.
So, I'm sure there had to be times, that were hard for you. And like I think your story is inspirational in itself.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell me about it. So like this is
Um,
me, my question that comes out, never have a conversation with a journalist.
Never.
No, because then we start asking you questions and it's like, hmm. But I'm interested. Like, I want to know your story
Um,
if you want to tell
let's
me.
see. Yeah. Uh, what part?
Well, the part like, you know, how you came up in this, how you know, i- i- how you knew, for instance, that you needed the mic, the background, the this, the that, da, 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 da. How you
Oh,
figured out how to approach people to see if they would come on your show.
oh, okay. So at first, far as equipment, I was like clueless at first because when you're in the school, they give you everything. But then
Mhm.
once you go out, you got to do a project, or they may have certain equipment, they may not. You're like,
Mhm.
I'm like you said, I might have to go get a microphone, or so I had to start like buying little things. Like had to buy a backdrop in case if I
Mhm.
go out somewhere or when I do shows.
Mm.
Um, anything that I could afford, I would go get. And if I couldn't afford it, you would save for it and then go get it.
Mhm.
Um, I would always make sure I have interviews lined up. Um,
How did you convince people to come on the show? Because you were unknown at the time when you're starting out.
right. So at first, I asked people that I personally knew, like from where I was, like my hometown, which is New Britain, Connecticut.
Mhm.
Um, I got a lot of no's. I don't think I got any yeses. So then
Mhm.
I'm sitting around. I'm like, there's no way I can't get no interviews from people I know. Let me try people who I don't know. So I started reaching out to people who I don't know, and then I was getting message after message. And I was like, let me challenge myself and see if I could get a celebrity. So I messaged a couple celebrities, and then they started to actually message me back.
Get
And then I'm
out.
like, yeah, I'm like, this is for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right there in what you just told me, what I get from that is you had to go out of your comfort zone to find success. And I think anybody who is really successful has to go out of their comfort zone first. And that what you just told me is a prime example of that. Like, get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like, I was raised in a family, I mean, great mother. I have 3 siblings. My dad traveled a lot for work. Um, but we were raised where, you know, very reserved and very proper and things like that, which was is fantastic, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But the majority of my family, they would do their professions are more conservative than broadcasting. And so it was an unknown, and it was hard for me to say, okay, I want to be a journalist. I want to be a reporter. And to hear, oh, well, you don't get to do that unless you're very, very good. And, I don't know. And, I had to overcome that. And that was really hard for me to even say out loud what I wanted to do. My inner critic was so almost paralyzing. And so I worked in the business and I was a producer, and I was a really good producer, but I wasn't happy. So, for years I was, a producer, and then I had to get really comfortable with being uncomfortable and go out of my, where I knew people, because I needed to take that jump. And you took that jump,
Yeah.
you
It
know?
worked.
It works, right?
Yeah.
So then what?
Then I'm like, I gotta get more celebrities. I gotta level up the show. I gotta get a better logo. This is actually my new logo right here.
I like it.
Like, think it's one of my hats. And then I'm like, I gotta get my own merch. Like the TV stations, the radio stations, they got like sweaters, professional sweaters, t-shirts, hats. So basically I told myself I have to do everything that TV and radio's doing together
Hmm.
until that big opportunity sees it, and they're like, okay, you'll be a perfect fit for the company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, honestly, why can't they be a perfect fit for you?
Or
I
that.
see it the other way. I see it as you building Go Roam TV and it being a brand of its own that other, companies come to as a resource. Like,
Or
so,
that.
you know what I'm saying? So I'm curious, how did you get the name for your Go Roam TV? Where did the name come from?
Hmm. I went through a lot of names. I'm like, I was like, I gotta find a name. I was gonna use my first name, and I'm like, no, because there was already a Holden on a radio station.
Hmm.
Um, I got the name Rome because one of my favorite actors and music artists is Romeo Miller.
Okay.
Familiar with him? Little Romeo?
No. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
him.
yeah. Is he still little?
Nah,
Or
he's getting
is
old
he a
now.
grown up now?
So I always use Rome, call myself Rome, and I'm like, I'm not a DJ, but it's kind of similar. So I can't put DJ Rome. I have to find another word that matches it. So I'm like, maybe go, because I'm always on a go. So I put go Rome, and I'm like, TV, because I want to do TV. So I just put it together. And I've been running with it ever since.
I think that's great. I love it. That's what I was thinking. Maybe it like the roam that you're always, on the go, you're roaming, you're doing things. You know, it
Yeah.
would be awesome if you did, like, if you went to nightclubs in Europe and shot episodes, and you really be roaming.
Yeah, that
And it
would be
would be
nice.
like, like you could, interview, or not necessarily nightclubs. Yeah, certainly, because that's visually, that has all the elements you'd want, but it might be hard with audio. Your audio might get blown out, but like a really cool street performer, like follow them and shoot with them and interview them and have them, turn you into a street performer. And you're hearing, you're getting their story, because that's what you do. You talk to people, you find out what motivates them, what keeps them going. I mean, think about what a street performer who gets dressed up like a living statue or something, like in the city. And, they've got to get dressed up every day. And they've got to go out there and they've got to hope people give them money and things like that. I mean, that has to take a lot of tenacity. And to hear their story and what keeps them moving forward, I think their story would be really interesting. That's number one. Number two, be visually rich. Number three, we'd get to see you become part of the story too.
Right. Something different.
Yeah. I mean, what's it going to cost you? A train ticket.
Right.
Go on location.
Okay, I got to do that. I'm going to do that. I'll put it on the
Yeah.
list.
Yeah. I like that idea for you. And I like the idea of going to Europe because it's totally different. And you could then, talk about how you started out, how you had to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And now you're going through Europe and you're finding out how other people got comfortable with being uncomfortable and how it paid off for them. Like, it's not just a theme for successful people in the United States. It's a universal theme for all people. And I think you would have a lot of fun doing it. I think that would be a ton of fun. Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll put it on my list.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
There you go. You asked me what I want to do. Well, I want to go to a conflict zone in the Middle East. You go have fun in Europe.
That'll be fun too.
It would be fun, right?
Yeah.
And think about it. Your cost would be the cost of a plane ticket, which you can get cheap flights to Europe. You could stay in, budget accommodations. You don't have to stay in a fancy hotel. And trust me, there, Airbnb, whatever you need, you can do it on the cheap. And, this, like, a street performer would gladly do it because it's going to increase their branding, because I bet you they're already on social media. They've already got a brand out there.
Yeah.
And then, other people. Oh, I've got tons of ideas for you. Different countries in Europe, and you buy a train ticket and you just go through Europe on the train.
A whole new series.
Yeah, do a series. Absolutely. Why not?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to work on that.
Roaming.
Yep.
Don't see, this is what happens. You talk to me, I got you going trips. All kinds of stuff. So
Yeah. Definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Of course. So what's the best part of this for you?
The best part. I like doing that. Everything about it. Yeah.
Do you have a part that is your least favorite?
The least favorite is losing videos you edited, or when errors start happening, the audio goes out, or like the video won't upload because something. The random errors.
That would be why it would take me like a week to edit a 2-minute piece of video, because I didn't know where stuff would go. Like, where did it go? What happened?
Right.
And then like YouTubing how to troubleshoot Final Cut Pro or whatever I was using at the time.
And they keep making changes. They keep changing everything too.
It's like, I just figured this out to where I'm not going crazy. And now you've updated things.
It's like every week there's a new update.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I know. It's I get the pop-up. Do you want to update? No. I know how to use it as it is. Don't mess me up. I don't need to know that there are other transitions in, now available or whatever. Like, I'm good with what I have.
Right.
So, you know.
Hmm.
So, what did I want to ask you? So, what other swag do you have?
Swag.
Yeah, like where did you get your swag? Did you like I know where I got my stuff. I went on Amazon and bought a green screen kit. Like I have a green screen that's like 12 by 10. And but I bought it on Amazon and it was like $75 for that and like massive lighting.
Oh yeah.
All
Oh,
off
you're
label and whatnot. Yeah.
talking about
So
the
where did you
backdrop.
get your what's that? Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's actually it came with the software on StreamYard. They have an option where they have a couple backdrops.
Oh, really? StreamYard, what's that?
It's like a Zoom, but like its own thing. You open it up on a browser, on a web
Oh,
browser. You sign in, make an account, pay $20 a month, and you can record shows like this. Then you download them after and edit them.
really? I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah,
Because I
you
do
can
like
also
your background.
yeah.
When I was, when I got your invitation, of course, I've followed you always, but when I saw the stuff, I'm like, oh, that's a really nice house. Like it looks like you know what I mean? Like it looks
Yeah,
like it could be legit.
that's good.
Like, I
Nah,
guess he's doing
it's a white
all
wall.
right. So, and do you need a green screen behind you, or does it matter what's behind you?
It has to be a green screen or a white wall.
Oh,
Yeah,
so what do you have? White
I
wall?
got the white wall.
Yeah, that's what I would have to.
Yeah,
So, oh, I see a thumbs up that just popped up. What's that mean?
I don't know. I never seen that before actually.
No. So, what's your 5-year plan?
5 year
No
plan.
pressure.
Um, to elevate and to do this full time
Hmm.
and learn as much as I can.
So, what's your side hustle?
Side hustle. I'm trying to get involved in like gigs and like events and make that
Hmm.
my full time side hustle.
Got it. So, what are you doing now to pay the bills? If you don't mind me
Uh
asking.
I work at a healthcare center full time.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. I I remember there was a time I had 3 jobs and I worked 7 days a week. Yeah. Well, yeah. So I mean, like I get where you're coming from. I totally get it. I had, a full-time job as a producer, a newscast producer, and was working overnights. So yeah, I would, and my kids were little. My daughter was a baby at the time. And so I would go to work. I would get up at like 2 a.m., be to the office by 3, because trust me, I wasn't putting makeup on, or like I was taking a shower the night before. My hair would be like this. And I'm not kidding. Like the bedhead was real. It was bad. But I would go and I would get to work my shift, get done by like 11 a.m. And then I had a freelance gig and I would go and one man band, MMJ things. And I did that probably like 3 days a week. And then on the weekends, don't ask me how this happened, but I got a job anchoring on the radio for WCBS 770 and WYAY radio station in Atlanta, Georgia.
Mm,
And so I was working for a company based in Pennsylvania, and they provided services for these two stations. So, okay. They asked me if I wanted to do this. I'm like, absolutely. But I didn't know I had to edit my own video or my own audio and things like that. I was like, okay, that's how I learned how to edit audio. Like I had gotten this job, not understanding that there was an expectation that I would edit. And I was like, okay, got to figure this out real fast. So I did. And then they set me up in my basement with like a microphone, audio interface, and a computer and things like that. And my basement was cinder blocks. And I had, I went to Walmart and the egg crates that you can put on your mattress to make it more comfortable. So I
Yeah.
got that and a staple gun. And I was stapling it to the beams above. And then I had a mattress that I was storing in my basement. And I put the mattress behind me because everything was cinder blocks and it didn't sound right. So it kind of made, and then I hung blankets from the walls. It was terrible. And at the time, every time we got a heavy rain, I would get water in my basement, right where my setup was. And I'm like, oh, I hope I don't get electrocuted. And then I was doing traffic. This Jersey girl, right? And I worked hard to get rid of my South Jersey accent, but it does come in. I had to do traffic for Atlanta and sound like I
Oh
was
boy.
from Atlanta. So, and there are big differences. Like they don't say tow truck, they say wrecker. So a wrecker's coming. And and then there was Coweta County, but it's spelled Coweta. And so I had to get this whole list of how to pronounce different places and names and things like that. And so it was Coweta County and DeKalb and Spaghetti Junction and the Grady Curve, all these places that, it's not like the GWB heading out on the Van Wyck, the Cross Bronx Expressway, which, blah, 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 you just say. It was like, okay, and on the Grady Curve, there's this Spaghetti Junction. And I had no idea these places, but there I was. So I was doing those 3 jobs. And by the way, my husband had broken his foot during all of this and could not walk for 3 months and had to have surgery on his foot. And then, so I'm handling everything. And then, like, that was the summer the refrigerator broke, the stove broke. Like, it was like, oh my God. And here I am working these 7-day a week because I was a really good producer. I wanted to report. I wanted to be out in the field and doing things. And my current employer at the time would not give me the opportunity. So I had to make it for myself. To your point, you're like, I was asking people that I knew and I couldn't get them to come on the show. So I had to ask people I didn't know to find success. And people said yes. And so that's what I had to do too. So when you were talking about that, I know exactly, like, obviously different circumstances, we're different people and whatnot, but I totally get that. I totally get that. It's hard. It's scary.
Yeah,
It is
it
scary.
is.
And it's like, okay, I've got to call these people or I've got to approach these people and show them my materials. And it's like, I just need them to say yes. And then it's like, oh my God, they said yes. What am I going to do?
Right.
So it's like, what are you going to do? But you do it. So how many episodes do you have now?
I think I'm at like 252. Yeah,
Get
252.
out.
Yeah.
Get
Yep.
out. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's all you. How does
Yep.
that feel? Like that's all you.
Feels
You
good.
built that. Yeah. So what about the people who wouldn't come on the show, the people you know? What do they say now?
Nothing much now.
Mm.
I haven't reached back out. I don't think I will.
Mhm.
But
Yep. I'm just wondering if they see your success now.
yeah, they see it.
They do.
Yeah.
Revenge is a dish best served cold, my friend.
Right.
You want to hear something funny? So First of all, have you ever been fired from a job?
Yep, once.
Mm-hmm. How did it make you feel?
Down.
Yeah.
Ruined my day.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
My God. I don't know if I was fired. I was gonna quit, but I always say like to other people coming up, like younger people in the business, I'm like, if you're not fired or let go at least once in your career, you're not working hard enough. Because obviously you don't strive to be let go, but usually early in your career, if you're let go, it's because someone sees a threat or you've made a mistake or they're making mistakes. It doesn't make sense to you, or they're making it they're putting you in a situation where you're not set up for success. You're set up for failure. And so that's the situation I was in. I was not given the tools I needed or anything like that. And I tried for like a year. And my general manager would call me in the middle of a newscast and scream and say, "You're all effing fired. You're all effing fired." Now, other people would hear this.
Wow.
And she had done it like she did it like for 3 Saturday nights in a row. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. And I got called into her office and she's like, "This isn't working out." And I said, "I couldn't agree more." And she said, "Well, who told you this? Who told you that?" And it was like people who told me they weren't happy as like in the station and wanted to leave. And I said, "Well, I don't think that, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you. That was the private conversations. You don't need to know that." So that made her really mad. So anyway, on my way home from work, I was hyperventilating, crying so bad because I was like, they are insane. They're doing like, I just knew in my gut that it was just like, it's not okay for your boss to call you and say you're effing fired, screaming it at the top of her lungs in the middle of a live newscast. Like, who does that? So, I mean, and that's just like a tiny little thing of what she would do. Anyway, flash forward a couple weeks later, and we had like a freelance photog who would come in to the station, and he worked for everybody. And so he called me and he said, "I hear you're out of a job." And I'm like, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, I'm freelancing. I'm doing some stuff for CNN tonight and I could use a reporter. Do you want to come?" And I was like, "Sure." Like, absolutely. And now, mind you, this was before he ran for president. This was during the time when Donald Trump, it was like the Apprentice era. People liked him. There wasn't like, I like him, I don't like him. Like, it was a different climate. So Donald Trump's getting an award. I need to interview him about it, and blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, great. So we go to the location, and there's my old boss. And it was like a small NBC affiliate. And she's like, "Mr. Trump, don't you want to give an interview to the local NBC affiliate?" And he goes, "No, I only work with CNN." So this is how long ago it was. He loved CNN. And he goes, "I only work with CNN. Monica, I believe we have our time now." And I said, "Yes, absolutely. We're set up over here for your interview."
Oh,
I
and that
was
was
like,
right in front of your old boss.
"Yep, yep." And I was like, "How you like me now?" You know? So, and I ended up getting a full-time job through a friend, and I moved to Baltimore and, got a gig there, blah, 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 blah. And I found that like every time I left a really toxic situation and I was scared to death, I always got a job making more money in a better situation. So I think that's so important for people coming up. Like, don't be discouraged. Like when they were telling you, "No, I don't want to be on your show." Like, you can't be discouraged, because if you know in your guts that this is what you're supposed to be doing, don't let anything stop you. And if you want to be a reporter, if you want to be an anchor, don't be a producer, because you'll get pigeonholed. Because good producers are hard to find, and stations do not like. It is almost taboo to transition from being a producer to being on the air. And that's hard. So it's like, yeah, okay. If your first job, you want to be a desk assistant, you want to be a producer, an associate producer, whatever. Okay, take the job. And then what's normal is for the photogs who work in the office or the reporters, you say, listen, I want to put a reel together. Can I go out with you? And we can shoot, I can shoot stand-ups and maybe, work on a package. Everyone does it. It's normal. So you get your reel together and, it's normal for them to help out people, younger people coming up. And then you send that out to other stations in other markets. And usually, the smaller markets, the smaller towns, you'll get a job with that. And that's all you need. You need that first on air job. And then you can jump, 25 markets because there's like just about 200 markets. So, like where you and I are, it's market one, New York. So if there was someone who wanted a job fresh out of school being a reporter in market one, you're not going to get it. But you could get a desk assistant job or an associate producer job or a writer job or a newsroom assistant, something like that. And, ask to go out on your own time, on your days off, ask to go out with one of the crews and shoot stand-ups. And you have to do it a couple times. You'll have to do it 5-6 times. And that's how you'll get your reel together. And then you send it out to stations. The South is a good place to start, especially on the East Coast. If you're on the East Coast and you want to stay in that time zone so you can be able to call home and it's still the same time zone, try and stay in your own time zone because that will make your life easier because you might get homesick. So, the South is good. Usually people can go from the South to parts of the Midwest. And then you can come back to New York if you want to. So, that's usually a good trajectory. Similarly with the West Coast, you go boom, boom, boom. But across the country, that is how people get their first job. That's how people get their reels done. And you just have to enjoy what you're doing and ask for criticism. Because the criticism isn't personal. It's about your work, not about who you are as a human being. You got to take it on the chin. Don't be discouraged. Look at it. If the criticism is valid, right? And it's only going to make you better at your job to follow it. Follow the criticism. Take the advice. Especially if it's the advice of people who've been doing what you want to do for a long time because they know what they're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
That's priceless.
Definitely. Good advice. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. What else do you want to know?
We pretty much answered everything. Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's next for you?
What's next for me is getting ready for the new year. See what goals I accomplished, see what goals I didn't accomplish, and get more goals accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's an exciting travel to Europe to, shoot those pieces.
Yeah, I gotta
and a
put
lot of
that on.
exciting things with Go Roam TV. You should be watching for what you're doing next.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. I see you blowing up.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
It will. It will. It will. Keep doing what you're doing because you're doing a good job.
Thank you.
Of
Thanks
course.
again for coming on the podcast.
Oh my God, anytime. This was so much fun.
All right. I'll keep in
Thank you
touch.
for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right. I'll see you later.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Peace.